Welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report. Ryan Mayer here with the head coach for the Hofstra men's soccer team, Richard Nuttall. And Coach, last season injuries really seemed to plague your team throughout the year, but you fought through it. You saw some good potential from some young guys coming in and getting some playing time. What are your final thoughts on last year?
Well, I think when you're in it, it's the worst on your emotions. It really attacks your emotions and you wonder what's going on. And it was probably the worst year we've had for injuries, or if not the joint worst. But no excuses. A lot of guys got a lot of playing time, and by the end of the season I thought we were back on a roll and getting going and looking like a team who could do some damage. The good side of that situation is a lot of players who wouldn't normally got a little bit of experience got some, and you know, it's hopefully going to translate through to this season. So out of the bad comes a little bit of good.
Now you come into this year bringing a lot of newcomers to the team. Some of them we've already seen in the two scrimmages that you guys have had against the Delphi, and then earlier this past week against Lafayette. Who has impressed you the most out of that new-coming group?
Well, I think out of the new guys, I think Herbert Beastie has showed a lot of calmness on the ball, a lot of soccer IQ. I think he's struggling a bit with the pace of the game, but his understanding of the game, once he gets his legs under him, I think he's going to be outstanding. Joe Holland has shown flashes. You know, he was injured for the Delphi game, but played 50 minutes on the Lafayette game. He shows a lot of poise on the ball, and a bit of a surprise, to be honest, is Felix Schaefer, who showed a lot of maturity, keeps the game simple, and he's done a very good job at cementing our defensive centre midfield position to get the ball well. So those three I've got to pick out at the moment, you know, and there's others that we're expecting good things. Elev and Marius Fatibo, the blonde at the back, has shown flashes. But again, Marius has struggled a bit with the pace of the game. His soccer IQ is very good. Now he's got to adjust to the way we play over here, probably the high tempo of the game.
Now, in both of those scrimmages, you didn't have, well, two of your best returning players from last season, one of which, Sean Foster, really the anchor of that back line. First off, how's he doing? What's his injury progression? And then do you expect him to be in the starting lineup to start the year?
Yeah, well, he had issues last year. You know, he got a severe ankle injury from summer ball last year, and probably only played at 80% most of the season last year. Now I'd say he's probably at 90, 95, and we're just taking a precautionary situation with him to let his ankle heal as long as possible. But we expect him back for the weekend, hopefully. And you know, hopefully all guns blazing. He's a rock. He's our leader in terms of communication and leading by example. But you know, whether he's there or not, we've done well in games without him. We'll be fine with or without him, but we would like him back. And then Pellegrini's got a back situation. Hopefully we're easing out of that situation too. So we're hopeful they'll be back. But I'm just very pleased with the whole group as one at the moment. You know, I think we're going to be fine, and we're going to be very competitive.
Now, Sean Foster, also a little bit of preseason honors awarded to him, named to the Herman Award watch list. Have you talked to him at all in terms of what that means to him?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him about the Herman Award. All we speak about is getting better and concentrating on his next job, which is getting ready for the game. And Sean Foster is one of the top defenders in the country, without a doubt. When he's fit, you could say he's probably in the top 1 or 2 or 3, in my opinion. So let's get him fit, then we'll worry about the awards later.
Now, Coach, one of the things that your team struggled a little bit last year was getting the attacking play from your forwards. And this year, one of the big guys for that coming into the year is Maid Memic. You spoke a lot about him last year. What have you seen in terms of his progression into this season?
Well, I think there's an understanding now of the type of game that he needs to play to succeed over here, and he's worked hard in the off-season. He's had apparently a good summer back home in his summer league back home, and done very well over there. And in the game against the Delphi, I think the goal he scored, he would not have scored last year. He showed a little bit of strength on the ball, held the defender off, and put it in the back of the net. So I've seen some physical maturity. I think some emotional and mental progression as well. So we're expecting great things from him, because he can finish the ball if he's given the chance.
Now, in the past, we've seen you play a 4-5-1 and then also a 4-4-2 if you go to that 4-4-2, who do you expect to fill in at that other striker spot?
I think Joe Holland might be an option, playing like a one behind one, or Michael Anaroom the same thing, but we can also throw Mike Anaroom up top as well as an out-and-out striker. The other one, the jack of all trades, who we lean on a lot, is Stefan Barea. We can push him up there as well, so I think that's our main options at the moment.
Now, other than Maid Memic, obviously, Sean Foster was one of the leading goal scorers on your team last year. How do you, instead of relying on him so much, try and push some of that attacking play onto your midfielders?
Well, I think if when you watch Joe Holland and Herbert Beast play, along with Chris Greaves and one or two others, I think we've got more security on the ball in the central midfield. And once you've got more security and ability on the ball, I think it's going to be a platform to release your Bereas, your Anarumas, your Maid Memiches. And people like Herbert and Joe can score goals. So I think it's going to be an all-round effort from the all from five, if you understand.
And we've seen a lot more in these two scrimmages, especially of a more possession style of game that you're trying to play this year. Build up from the back into the attacking third rather than the long balls. How have you seen the transition, and how's the team taken in that style?
Well, I think we've always tried to possess, and sometimes you don't have the horses for the courses, so we've had to change our style a little bit. We have the horses to possess the ball, so that's what we want to do. We want to keep the ball, we want to move it quickly, and we want to get out teams. So it's good that through the centre of midfield, no offence to last year's players, but we've got some competent players who can receive it in midfield under pressure and then transfer it to the other side and keep possession. So from my point of view, we can play that way and we want to play that way, so that's what we're going to concentrate on.
Now, you have your first game coming up this week, this Friday, against Lehigh. You go down to Pennsylvania to take on them. You saw Lafayette, who's similar in style to Lehigh. What do you change from the Lafayette game going into Lehigh?
Well, to be honest, I think fatigue was a big factor. The first 30 we looked rather comfortable, and then I think we changed a couple of players and got a little bit tired, and made a couple of basic mistakes. So from our point of view, that put us under extreme pressure, but we've got to be able to learn to play through that pressure and keep possession of the ball and maintain it so we can serve our forwards well. So from our point of view, it was a great learning lesson. After, on Wednesday we think we're becoming a good team, and then it's a knockdown to reality. So it served a purpose, the Lafayette game. I think, we showed we can play, and I thought we dominated the first 35. But then once we got a little tired, it broke down, so that's a lesson for us.
Now, after that Lehigh game, you have one game at home against St. Francis, but then you go back on the road again for a stretch of games. How tough is it going to be, and are you trying to instill that mental toughness with being away from home?
I think what you've got to understand is that there's good and bad about being away from home, and same as good and bad about being at home. When you're away from home, you're with the players constantly, can control what they eat, the sleeping arrangements and all that kind of stuff, where you're in control, and there's a bit more understanding of the environment that they can impress upon the players, and then you have a little bit more time probably between not going to class because we're away, that we can put that we can be a little bit more detailed sometimes away, and get used to the surface is an issue, but then again different surfaces you've got to be able to play on them. So whether we're home or away, you've got to take each game in its own sense, and then try and achieve a victory on its own.
Now, you look forward to conference play. You guys were picked 8th in the preseason poll.
Yes.
Obviously, that comes on the back of a year where you didn't have the best season because of the injuries that we spoke about. Not making any excuses, as you said, but what do you tell your players about that rank, or do you not even discuss it and just say go out and play?
It is a little bit of bulletin board stuff. We may put it up there. I'm pretty sure we're going to. But 2 victories last year, and I think we'd have finished 3rd or 4th, and when we're beating Willem and Mary Lane, we're beating Delaware for the last few seconds, and and we lost in overtime to Georgia State. So those 3 results change around, and it's a different season. So they've got to understand every game is key, and they know we've got the ability, but the other teams have ability too. So we've got to be mentally, emotionally, and physically ready.
Now, with conference realignment happening, VCU gone from the conference,
Yes.
Old Dominion and Georgia State not eligible for postseason play, how does that change the conference a little bit?
It doesn't change anything, the fact that we've 11 teams to play apart from 12, and every one you've got to try and win because all the results affect the outcome. In layman's terms, you think it might be a bit easier, but it also gives opportunity for others who, who may want to be pushing there. So I think there's very little difference here. We've got to take each game as it comes and try and get, the top spot or indeed in the playoffs.
Now, finally, last question for you. What are your expectations for this upcoming season?
My expectations are that we're going to work hard as a group, and if we do that, I think good things will come. I don't want to say we're going to win this or win that. We're going to work hard, and we've got talent, and hopefully it'll all come together.
All right, well, Coach Richard Nuttall, good luck out there this Friday. I'll speak to you again next week. Thanks for joining me inside.
Thanks very much.
Amazing, Coach.
Thank you.